What's up, guys? We got a bit of breaking news. Carmelo Anthony denied motion for a retrial, so we're going to talk about that. Um, yes, we're going to talk about that shortly. It's a bit of breaking news that just came in off the wire. So we're going to actually get into that. Just want to share this out real quick. And I'm going to explain to you why. I mean, this is Texas. I've been telling people this. Well, Texas ain't no joke. Yes, indeed. Let me see. Actually, let me just do this. All right, guys. I'm just getting set up here. Hope everybody is doing well. Guys, so it's breaking news. I'm gonna get into why though. I think we have to figure out why this happened. So we're gonna get into why in a second. I Texas, you ever heard that Texas is one of the strongest nations in the union when it comes to this stuff? Texas is one of the strongest nations in the union. Um, I had made a video before. I said that this kid is going to get denied. I had already said it, and people was they were saying like, you know, pick a side. What side are you on? Stuff like that. No, I know how Texas operate. It's not that I'm trying to pick on them anything. I just know Texas, the state of Texas. And I had said in my other video that they put an innocent man to death, a white guy. So and they didn't apologize for it. In fact, Governor Rick Perry at the time said, well, he was a bad guy anyway. I was talking about Cameron Todd Willingham. But we're going to get into why he denied him. And then we're going to take your, I'm not, just to let you guys know, I'm not ignoring your comments. So just to let you guys know, I just want to read this real quick. What's up, Greg? Phil? Well, first of all, let me just say what's up to everybody. What's up, Heaven? What's up? What's up, Greg? Phil? As a matter of fact, let me send some notifications out. Let me go to IG real quick. I gotta do this real quick because I just want to give a reason for this because I knew this was coming. So we're gonna find out why, and I'm gonna tell you. It's a historical reason. Texas is a very hard state to win in. And I had said that as far as him arguing ineffective counsel, that's later in the process, not right now. He's not going to argue ineffective counsel right now. That's later down the line, and I'm explaining it. I've been studying Texas for many years because they put, Texas put so many people to death, more so than anybody else in the union. In fact, when George Bush, the former president of the United States, was governor, they used to call him the Texecutioner. And then they called Rick Perry the Texecutor. It's either vice versa. Either George Bush was the Texecutor or Rick Perry was the Texecutioner, whatever the case is. They don't play in Texas, and we're gonna figure out why in a second. Let me just say hello to everybody real quick. What's up, Heaven? Let me go back up. Heaven, Greg, OPP, Val, Tasia. Am I saying it right? Tasia T. Cali. What's up, Joe? Um, Street Cat Munchies, what's up? What's up, Joe again, Heaven? Sharice, Robbie Lott, Midwife, Lady of Elegance Collection. How you doing? You said Taja is still occupied by the Yankees. His text message. Well, all right. So let me read this real quick. So on Saturday, August 22nd, as you all know now, retired. Now, let me stop right there real quick. The guys, a retired judge did this, not an active judge. How do you guys feel about that one? I ain't even get to read this. The judge that was hearing this is retired. They had to bring him in because the other judge has been recused, of course. So, Carmelo did score a victory because the previous judge was recused because after post conviction, he said that the jury got it right. So, but a retired judge did this. All right. It's not out of the ordinary, but retired Judge Michael Chitty denied Carmelo Anthony motion for a new trial after a 2-day evidentiary hearing in Collin County. That means Anthony's murder conviction and 35-year prison sentence remain in effect, and he stays in custody. What was Carmelo Anthony lawyers arguing? This is a much bigger than simply arguing that the jury reached the wrong verdict. Anthony's new legal team attacked the way the original trial was conducted. Their major arguments included Anthony's right to a public trial. The defense argued that restrictions in the courtroom access and some proceedings conducted outside public view went too far and violated his constitutional rights. Prosecutors responded that extraordinary security concerns, including threats, doxing, and other disruptions surrounding the case, justified a tighter proceedings. Because remember, we couldn't even watch this on YouTube. So, we couldn't watch it, to all decide for ourselves. So they were arguing that. And also just all the restrictions. I didn't agree with that. I wish we all could have watched the proceedings, to be honest with you. Now, this is a major one they was bringing up, the gentleman's agreement. Prosecutors and Anthony original lawyers had a informal agreement that kept damaging character evidence involving both Anthony and Austin Metcalf away from the jury. That included allegations involving Anthony's previous behavior and allegations involving Metcalf and his twin brother. Why Anthony did not testify. This is one of the biggest issues. His former lawyer, Toby Shook, testified that the defense had expected Anthony to testify about why he believed he acted in self-defense, but a dispute over whether prosecutors could question Anthony about damaging information that had been excluded under that informal agreement. His lawyer said the dispute caused Anthony to believe he would not receive a fair opportunity to testify. And he ultimately stayed off the witness stand. The defense also challenged aspects of the jury instructions and other procedures. While all that damaging information came out this week, because a lot of people are saying that, well, this is an important irony here. Much of the material that the lawyers deliberately kept away from the original jury became public in his new trial hearing. Prosecutors described evidence they said showed previous threatening messages, allegations of stalking, and interest in guns, knives, and fighting involving Anthony. At the same time, information concerning Metcalf was disclosed involving allegations of bullying, fighting, racial slurs, and racist graffiti. Those allegations were largely kept out of the murder trial because both sides wanted the jury to focus on what occurred during the confrontation at the track meet, rather than the teenagers' backgrounds. That does not mean all of those newly disclosed allegations were proven facts in the murder case. Some were background allegations or records introducing to explain the evidence the lawyers had deliberately kept away from the original jury. Now, remember what happened with the original judge. So this is where things get especially interesting. Earlier this week, Judge John Roach Jr., who presided over Anthony's murder trial, was recused from the post-trial proceedings. Anthony's attorney pointed to Roach courtroom restrictions and particularly hit to the post-verdict interview in which he publicly indicated that he believed the jury had gotten the verdict right. Visiting Judge Sid Harley concluded that Roach's statements could reasonably be questioned and remove him from deciding a new trial motion. Retired Judge Michael Chitty was then brought in. But this is an important distinction. Getting Judge Roach recused did not erase the conviction. It only meant someone else had to decide Anthony if he deserved a new trial. As of today, the new judge said no. So what happens now? This does not end his legal fight. The case now moves forward through the appeals process, with the next major venue being the Fifth Court of Appeals in Dallas. The appellate lawyers can challenge alleged constitutional violations and trial errors and can revisit arguments raised during the new trial. Raised during the new trial proceedings. For now, practical results are straightforward. Conviction stays, 35-year sentence stays, new trial denied, release bond based on new trial not happening at this particular stage. One thing I want to say, guys, this doesn't end his action in court. His action is just getting started as far as the appeals process is concerned. That's where he's headed next. So this doesn't mean that, okay, that's the end all be all. It's very rare, man. I had to go look at the stats. I couldn't find them. I had researched. It's very rare for somebody to get a new trial right after conviction. It's like you're facing an uphill battle. Usually judges don't reverse it unless something serious went down that clearly violated the defendant constitutional rights to a fair trial. Now, getting back to the text messages and getting back to Austin Metcalf background, they said, according to the gentleman's agreement, they wanted to keep that away from the jury. But it wasn't proven fact, on both sides. Even though I think the graffiti is proven fact. I think it is, but we're just going to say both sides is not proven fact. So that's why they said they kept that out. They didn't want the jury to see that. Because let's say if the jury did see that, he would have got life. They would have sentenced him to more than 30 some years. If they had saw that, if that evidence is true. I don't even know if it's true or not. But if it was, that would have been it for him. They would have sentenced him to life without the possibility. But that's not a fact, okay? It's not a fact if he sent the text messages. Why? Because it didn't go through the process of coming in. They decided to keep it out of trial. So we didn't have our eyeballs on it to judge it. So anyway, that's neat. That's water behind the bridge now, as far as the text message, if it even exists. So now, since he has a team of lawyers, what he's going to do is he's going to go through the process. This process could even go past 10 years. It can go for a long time before he exhausts his appeal rights or appellate rights, right? Now, can he argue ineffective counsel? Yeah, but that's later down the line. That's later down the line. I can go over what that means in a second. He's not going to argue that right now. He has some options available to him right now. And once he exhausts that, then he go on to the next step. He also can, at some point, maybe go to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court, they don't hear every case. They only select a few cases a year. So you have a better chance damn near hitting the lottery for it to get there. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. We'll see. But as of right now, and also let me just point out in this case, the jury decided the sentence in this case, not the judge. So Even if he had went with a bench trial, the judge would have just slayed this kid. He would have. Because I was thinking, should he have went with a bench trial, meaning just the judge decide no? Because the judge said the jury got it right. So that's where we at right now. He was denied. I knew he was going to get denied. I know how Texas operate. Texas is one of the hardest states in the union. Let me explain. Don't you realize that Texas, if you get caught now for 2 joints in your pocket, you can get some time in jail. So what you think they were going to do to this kid? You ever thought about that? Go to Texas to get caught with 2 joints if you want to. Go ahead for your first offense and see what happened. Oh, you're gonna pay some fines for 2 joints. Yes, I said it, 2 joints. Okay. Don't play with Texas. Don't ever play with them. You said text messages are not actual behavior like Metcalf, who terrorize. Oh, no. Wait a minute. If we can't authenticate the text message from Karmelo, we're not authenticating anything right now. We're done with the text messages. We're not even talking about that no more. We're talking about what he gonna do in the appellate process. That's what the deal is now. Hold on one second. Yeah, so the deal is now, you said, sorry guys, teens do not have fully developed brains or impulse control. He will mature and grow. Unfortunately, he's going to mature and grow in prison. I was under the impression, look, I grew up, let me tell y'all something real quick. I grew up in the Reagan administration, like some of you did. Okay. I grew up in very harsh conditions. I'm talking about extremely harsh conditions. You talk about the inner city or hood, whatever, or the trenches, that's me. Crime is a choice once you know right from wrong. Crime is a choice. Now, here, Karmelo is arguing that it was self-defense. That's a different argument. But I'm talking about when you said the brains are developed. Listen, I came from an era where 13-year-olds got locked up in juvie. 14-year-olds got locked up for selling drugs. It's a choice. Yeah, it's a choice to do crime. It's a choice. It's always a choice. Okay. I don't want to hear no excuses. It's a choice. Okay. Let me say this to people right now that disagree. If you have children, let me ask you a question, or if you have nephews, or if you have nieces, what happened if your nephew, niece, child, brother, mother, father, whoever you close to, got into a fist fight and a blade went in their heart? You think that's okay? You'll be okay with that? No, you would not. A fist fight doesn't call for a knife fight. It doesn't. I'm never going to think this was self-defense. I'm never going to think that. Okay. I'm for what's right here. Because if I go out there and knife somebody in the chest, y'all would never see me again. Never. You'll never see me again. And quite frankly, I wouldn't take it to trial. But and that's my other point. They didn't even give him a deal here. That's unusual. But we're going to get into that in a second. I'm trying to tell you right now, you don't play in Texas. Now listen to me so you can teach your kids, man. Listen to me. Let your kids go to Texas, because I hear a lot of people moving to Texas because it's expensive in California and different places. So people are moving to Texas in different parts of the South. Let me just explain something to you. Wherever you move to, you need the state constitution, and you need to learn the federal constitution, the U.S. Constitution. You need to learn how the law applies in your state. I'm telling you right now, you go, let your kids go to Texas and play around with them if you want to. They're going to go away and throw away the key. I'm telling you this. I've studied Texas for over 20, 30 years. They don't play. when it comes to this. They don't give a damn what color you are. They locking you away. I just said they put a white man to death and he didn't even do it. His name is Cameron Todd Willingham. He was a white guy. They accused him of arson. And he didn't, you know what happened? It wasn't arson. They had already put him to death. You know what they found out after further review? It was electrical fire. They still put him to death. Rick Perry said, well, he's a bad guy anyway. Texas do not play. Texas is what we call the Lone Star State. How many stars in the flag? 50, right? They call the Lone Star State. They don't even want to be a part of the union. This is a state that you do not play in. I don't want to hear with nobody. You don't play in Texas. You don't play there. You do not play. They will lock you away. I have a theory on why they're so harsh on the weed laws. So many people are moving there from out of state, and they have an opportunity to fill them jails up now, and they're going to do it. So you have an opportunity. You have a choice now. Either you're going to leave Texas if you want to still indulge, or stop smoking. One or the other. Because if you get caught, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because they've already passed the law. Just move out of Texas. Just leave Texas. They don't want you there anyway. Okay? I'm sorry this kid got caught up because he ain't know no better. He didn't. But I do. And nobody taught him. Because if somebody taught him, he wouldn't be in this situation, man. You said what, I lived in Dallas 5 years, never got any criminal record. Right, because it's a choice. I just said that. It's a choice. It's a choice. No, I'm not saying that you disagree. I'm just feeding off of what y'all saying. It's a choice, man. I came up in an era where they were giving out draconian sentences, and you ain't kill nobody over petty drug charges. They were giving out draconian numbers, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? It don't need to cry in because it was a choice. How come I ain't sell drugs? It's a choice. UPS was always hiring. Ask Biggie. He said UPS hiring. They were always hiring, and the Gap, wherever. So this situation is see, here's the thing, guys. The jury sentenced him to 30 years. The jury did, not the judge. So now what he has to do is he has to go through the appeals process. And that can take years. I can almost tell you right now what's going to happen to him. He has the possibility of parole after, I can't remember how many years. They're going to deny him the first time. They're going to deny him the second time. They're going to deny him the third time. They're going to deny him the fourth time. So if he got 30 some years, he'll be out in like 25 or 28, something like that. He's going to do most of all that time in Texas. Yeah, Karmelo parents failed him. They most certainly did. I tell young people this. Let me tell you something. You play with the law if you want to, because they have jails that they need to fill up, and they would love to have you. They would love to have, they have accommodations for you. I had a very bad temper, right? I had to get that under control. You know why? Because there's a jail that would love to have me. Love to have me. And in fact, they're so nice, they'll give me 3 hots and a cot. I'm not saying the food is good, but they will feed you. They do offer a college class. He will be able to get his degree in prison. He will be able to. Because actually where he is considering for jail standards is not bad. He shouldn't have any issues there. It's for people that have health issues. Remember, Karmelo has a health issue. I don't wish this for him. I don't. But if I go out there and get in trouble tomorrow, you guys ain't gonna care. I'm living in reality. I know people that took penitentiary chances because they felt like they had to, because they had a record and they kept getting denied for certain jobs. They felt like they had to take penitentiary chances. Some people don't want to do that. They have to. Some people feel like they have to. So he has to go through the appeals process now. He has to. So that's where I'm gonna. What's up, guys? What's up, Rosecrans? What's going on, everybody? We're gonna talk about all right, let me see something real quick. I'm just trying to keep people out of jail, man. You said I will never understand how he got more time than Amber Geiger. The charges were different. What did she get convicted of? And it's a different state. She got convicted in Florida, right? I covered the Amber Geiger trial. I did, and that was messed up. What happened to Botham John? That was messed up. She thought that she entered her house, and she really entered Botham John's house, and she shot him. All right, so what's the next steps? Since a motion for new trial was denied today, the next step is direct appeal, the Texas Fifth Court of Appeals. This is a big one. Collin County criminal appeals go to the Fifth Court of Appeals, normally before a three-justice panel. Anthony already preserved his step by filing the notice of appeal on June 10th. Appellate judges do not conduct another trial and normally do not hear witnesses. They review the transcript, exhibits, motions, rulings, and the record from the new trial hearing. Oh shoot, hold on. Let me okay, here we go. Where am I at? Direct appeal, Anthony. Okay. Yeah, I just finished that. So the next step after that is Anthony lawyers filed their appellate brief. Um, once the complete clerk record and reporter's record are filed, Texas rules generally give the appellate 30 days to file an opening brief. The prosecution then generally get 30 days to respond, and Anthony can file a reply within another 20 days. Extensions are possible. This is where we finally see the precisely which alleged errors the lawyers believe justify reversal. So what's happening is what they're going to do is they're going to go through this with a fine tooth comb to find legal errors, and they're going to put together their case before that judge panel. So that could take a while, to go through the errors. And also, Anthony, what can he do to help himself right now? He can get in the law library. He can get some legal material and start reviewing it and help his lawyers out. You said Amber Geiger's case happened in Texas. Yeah, yeah, that's right, Dallas. You're right about that. I don't know why I'm getting that mixed up. Yeah, you're right about that. So what else? His strongest potential appellate arguments are likely to come from what we just watched. Expect his attorneys to examine and claim interference with his decision whether to testify, the gentleman's agreement concerning character evidence, courtroom/public access restrictions, jury instructions, evidentiary rulings, venue, jury selection issues, and other preserved trial errors. The new trial hearing was also important because it created testimony and a record concerning several things that occurred behind closed doors during the original trial. The Fifth Court may hold oral arguments. His attorneys and Collin County prosecutors could appear before the appellate panel to answer questions. The Fifth Court says cases are decided after the appellate record and briefs have been filed and ordinarily submitted to three judges. So the Fifth Court can produce several very different outcomes. It can affirm the conviction and 35-year sentence, find a error, but determine it was harmless. They could reverse and send the case back to a new trial, modify some aspects of the judgment, or in much rarer situations where the evidence is held legally insufficient to support the conviction, render an appropriate judgment rather than simply ordering another trial. A reversal for ordinary trial errors would generally mean prosecutors could retry Anthony and would not automatically mean he walks free permanently. If Anthony loses at the Fifth Court, he can seek rehearing under current Texas appellate rules. A motion for hearing or a bonk, what is it called? Bonk reconsideration generally must be filed within 15 days. So en banc means asking the larger court rather than just the original three-judge panel to reconsider the case. Next comes the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. This is Texas' highest court for criminal cases. Anthony could file a petition for discretionary review. That's a PDR. It generally must be filed within 30 days of the Fifth Court's judgment or within 30 days after the last timely rehearing. En banc motion is overruled. The key word is discretionary. The Court of Criminal Appeals does not have to accept the case. See, this is why, guys, each state is different. So even though that's his next step in the process, that case could say we're not taking it. Okay, they could say that. So if the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals refuses review or rules against him, the U.S. Supreme Court is potentially next. Anthony could petition for a writ or certiorari, particularly raising legitimate federal constitutional questions rather than simply arguing that the Texas court got Texas law wrong. The Supreme Court accepts only a tiny, like I said before, the Supreme Court accepts only a tiny percentage of petitions each year. So this is extremely difficult route. One case that sticks out to me that I studied for a long time is the United States versus Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali didn't want to go into the Vietnam War because of his religious beliefs. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court. Not only did it go all the way to the Supreme Court, he got action. His case set precedent. He won. He set precedent. You can go look at it right now. He set precedent in the United States Supreme Court. So it's not out of the way. It's not impossible for Karmelo, but it's an uphill battle. So let's say then there is post-conviction habeas corpus even after that, if he can't get to the Supreme Court. After the conviction becomes final, Anthony can pursue Texas Article 11.07, writ of habeas corpus. This is different from the direct appeal. This is particularly important for claims depending on evidence outside the normal trial record. For example, certain ineffective assistance of counsel claims. So let me stop right there. See how far that's down the line for the for he can claim ineffective assistance of counsel. That's way down the line. Newly discovered evidence or constitutional violations that could not adequately be resolved from the appellate record. Texas law sends a non-death penalty felony Article 11.07 application through the convicting court, and ultimately to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Now, it says federal habeas corpus could follow. After properly exhausting his available state remedies, Anthony could potentially file a federal habeas petition under 28 USC 2254, arguing that his custody violates federal constitutional law. There is an even tougher standard because federal courts give substantial difference to state court decisions. One other important point here, Anthony will stay in prison while all of this happens. Texas law does not permit bail pending appeal for a felony conviction when punishment is 10 years or more. His sentence is 35 years. So he has a lot of action here. This could go on for many, many years, many years. I've seen people even that was on death row. Some people been on death row for 20 years before they exhausted their appeals rights. Some been on 10 years. It just depends. 10, 15, just depends. He's lucky he didn't get the death penalty. If he was 18, they would have tried to seek the death penalty on him. They would have tried to. That's why the cop said to him when he went up to him, "How old are you?" Because that determined different things. What was the exact age at the time of the crime? He's lucky. He's lucky that he was underage at the time. It's a messed up case, guys. This is really messed up because we've all been in situations when we were young. Some people been in more extreme situations than others, but we're still here to talk about it. You know, we didn't get any jail time or anything like that. The only time, because he's arguing self-defense here. So the only time that I would use deadly force unless my life's on the line. Now, he felt that his life was on the line because remember he said he thought it was self-defense. Now, you know, if you think it's self-defense, I'm not going to debate that. But that's the only time I would use deadly force. If I had no other option, if I couldn't run, if I couldn't get out of harm's way by running and fleeing the situation, hey, I don't know. Like, for example, that TikToker or whatever he is, he didn't put those videos on TikTok yet because his ass is smart, because they looking for him. That kid that was just in Philly with that Chucky mask on, they looking for him. They waiting for him to post on TikTok because they looking for his location. He was recording the whole time when he was running up to people saying, "Are you ready to die today?" Even though he didn't do anything, but he was doing that. But I'm here to tell you right now, if I was in Virginia and he came up to me and did that, but let's just say this, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I would have aired him out. Hollow points too. He would have got them showstoppers, because I don't know if he come up to me and saying, "Am I ready to die today?" I'm assuming he got something on him. He would have got aired out. He's lucky he was out there. He was down south. He would have got aired out for sure. He would have got aired out. And all we had to do was tell the police that he said, "Am I ready to die today?" That would have been it. They would have took me down for questioning, and they would have took my firearm. They would have let me go. He would have got aired out. He would have got aired out. In Virginia, we're allowed to have hollow points. He would have got them showstoppers. Center mass, aired out. And then I would have called 911. And what do? You air them out, and then you put the gun down. So when the cops come, let them know the gun is going to be right there near the tree. and then you got your hands up waiting for the cops. That's how you do it. I learned that in my gun class. That's how you do it. So then they be like, all right, boom, the gun right there. Okay, where's the magazine? The magazine right there. Okay, cool. That's it. Lights out, baby. They looking for him though. They looking for him because what he did was against the law. What they looking for him, and they know what he looked like now. And the only reason why he got away, because when he was in the train station, he took his Chucky mask off and put in his book bag. So they didn't know who they were looking for. And you couldn't readily see his dreads at the time. That's why he got away. They said he could be in California or he could be somewhere else. He got ties everywhere, but ties in California and somewhere else. But they looking for him. I believe they found him. I believe they did. Now, Karmelo, the reason why I say that, because he felt like his life was on the line. That's what he said. He said it was self-defense. But here's the thing, though. When we took the gun class in Virginia, let me give you an example. Say if I'm I'm not talking about any other state. I'm talking about Virginia. Let's say if somebody break in my house, I'm watching TV, they kick the door down, and I got my gun next to me, and they freeze and see me, and they go to run back out, and I chase them and shoot them. Am I going to jail or not? Yes, I'm getting manslaughter. That's 20 years. Now, if I'm sitting in my house, they kick the door down, and they're coming after me, and I air them out, right? Am I going to jail? Yes or no? No. They'll take me down for questioning and then let me go. They'll take the firearm for further analysis, and then that'll be it. They'll let me go. Or ask if I need to go to the hospital, if I need to check myself in. That's about it. Now, let's say if I'm at a bar and I got my gun on me, right? I'm drinking at the bar, and a fight breaks out in the bar. Somebody hit me upside the head with a bottle, and I shoot them. Am I going to jail? Yes or no? Yes, I'm going to jail. You're not supposed to have a firearm when you're drinking in a bar. That's against the law. Regardless if he was the aggressor or not. You get my point? You need to know the law. Now, let's say if I'm at a bar and I didn't have anything to drink, and there's a group of guys that start with me, and I run to my car to get away, to get out of harm's way. They chase me outside. They're doing me harm. Can I air them out then? Yes, I can air all of them out. Somebody walking down the street, equal size, they pick a fight with me, and I air them out. Am I going to jail? Yes or no? Yes, I'm going to jail. That's manslaughter. I'm just telling you, I know it by heart. I know it by heart. But let me give you a scenario like that. Let's say if a woman is walking down the street and a guy does her harm with his hands, can she air him out? Yes. Because she can argue that he was stronger than her. She won't go to jail. So you have to know this stuff. You have to know this stuff. You have to be able to retreat first. You got to know these things. Now, in a fist fight, right? Two teenagers are fighting. Well, one pushed or whatever, and one takes out a knife and jabs him. Is he going to jail? Yes. Any state, he's going to jail. In fact, the self-defense laws are harder in the tri-state area, even Massachusetts. Self-defense laws are very hard, but they still exist. But you have to meet certain criteria. So that's the deal. So now, with that being said, he has to go through the appeals process if he wants some relief. But he has to stay in that law library, because sometimes new laws could get passed. There's nothing absolute in the legal system. There's nothing absolute. There's laws that could get passed that could shave time off of his sentence. He could get in certain programs to shave time off of his sentence. He have to learn those programs. And he might get time shaved off. That's it. He just got to stay in the law library. Now, what's unusual is they didn't offer him a deal. A lawyer told me this. A lawyer hit me and said, Max, they didn't offer him a deal. I said, really? He said, no, it's very unusual. They didn't. I said, they could have saved the taxpayers money. Why even go to trial if they caught him dead to rights? Why couldn't they give him a deal for like 10 years? He said they didn't do that. It's almost like they wanted to make an example out of him in front of everybody. That's what they did. It's very unusual. They didn't offer him a deal. They offered another kid a deal that killed 2 people. He got 10 years. So with that being said, you have to know that the law is harsh sometimes. So you got to act accordingly. Now, here's the thing. I want to say this about the graffiti real quick. So they said that they allegedly was sprayed. I have to say allegedly because, I don't want people lawyers, how they going after YouTubers now. They allegedly put out racist graffiti and talking about the dude back in the day from Germany and all this stuff, and talking about they wanted to delete the ninjas, just doing the most. Now, they said, well, we don't want that to go into the trial. I'm like, okay. Then they claimed that Karmelo sent text messages to his girlfriend talking about he wanted to get active and he wanted to lick blood off a knife, allegedly. I hope he didn't say that. I hope he didn't. Because because I could have, if I was his lawyer, I could have said, you know what? That goes to his mental state. Maybe I would have had a psychiatrist. Maybe he was temporarily insane due to medication or something. I don't know. There's ways to work this to get a deal now. Maybe he was clinically messed up. You see what I'm saying? I would have finessed. I'm like, wait a minute. You ain't in your right mind. Let's just say you ain't rap tight, so we can buy you 10 years. You weren't rap tight. Because that's what what's his name is trying to do. But I don't know if they're going to give him that. Rob Reiner's son out of California. Y'all know Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner's son. He's trying to act like he was out of his mind. But they trying to say he is in his mind. And he trying to say it's because of the medication he was taking, he was out of his mind. And he murked his father. I believe he murked his father and mother, didn't he? Rob Reiner, son. Didn't he kill both his parents? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Miguel, did he take out both his parents? Yeah, so he took out both of his parents. So you know what he's saying? You know what his defense is? He was out of his mind. Oh, maybe Heaven, did you want to say a few words? Let me get the hold on. Damn it. Hold on 1 second. He trying to say he was out of his mind. So what do you guys think? Was he out of his mind or what? Because I would have finessed that. And I would have used that case. Well, with Rob, he's out of his mind. Karmelo out of his mind. See, that could be something he could bring up later. Like, look, let a psychiatrist look at him. Because he might have been out of his mind that day. Maybe he was maybe there's clinically a reason for this. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? I would have tried to listen, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna buy this kid 10 years. I'm like, look, just act, your screws are loose. I would have talked to his parents, like, listen, we have to go with the insanity defense so we can get him some time. Okay. I know he's out on bail, but when he go to court, I want him to be rocking back and forth in the chair. Okay. With his tongue out, rocking back and forth so the judge can see it. We got to do something. Okay. We got to do something. You said, Max, the only people I've seen generally psychotic, hold on, let me see, are ironically the ones that don't think they're psychotic. Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? We got to figure out a way to rock him 10 years, man. Now I know what people are saying, max 10 years a long time. It's better than 30. Yeah, I'll you said you getting back on later. Yeah, if you can't come on now, when you want to get back on, we get back on later. But because I kind of this is kind of impromptu live. So you see what I'm saying, guys? We could have just maybe bought him 10 years. I don't know. Because it's not wait. Uh oh, you said send me the because I didn't find your oh, you talking about Miguel. Okay. You see what I'm saying, guys? I'm not gonna sit here and take this to trial. You said his text thoughts, if true, he needs to look by a reputable psychologist. Right. He needs some medicals. He needs something. You see what I'm saying, Heaven? Heaven. Oh,
Huh?
okay.
What'd you say, Max? I couldn't hear you.
You see what I'm saying? Maybe he could have bought himself to you and said he was crazy.
Who?
No, I'm saying Carmelo took it to trial. They didn't offer him a deal, but he could have went with the insanity defense because what he did is not normal. I'm sorry. If I was his lawyer, I would have said my client crazy. I'm sorry.
Were you talking about Carmelo?
Yeah.
You said
I would
you
have
would
said,
say he
listen,
was
Heaven, I would
crazy.
have said, listen, Heaven, I
Hmm.
would you laughing, but I would have said, listen, my client is crazy. Okay. I would have had him rocking back and forth in his seat and everything. We
Matt,
going
I mean, but
to
something was off though.
yeah, you can see it in his face. Well, allegedly, I can't say that because I don't want nobody to come after me. I don't know if he's off or not. Let me stop. I take that back.
Right.
I don't. My bad, Carmelo. I don't want to say you off.
Yeah,
But
I mean, honestly, it's a sad case. I feel like, you know, yeah, the poor kid. I don't, 35 years, it sounds like a lot, but then seeing how, like, off he was, I'm like, wait a minute. It is, eh, these kids are built different nowadays. Like, I have to agree. Me and my friend were actually talking about this case. And, we all said crazy stuff growing up, but some of the stuff, like, you just can't text. You just have to keep in mind anything you send in a text message is going to stay there. It's going to come back to haunt you. Anything you put online or say in a text message is going to always come back
yeah,
to
but
haunt
heaven
you.
would have been rocking
Mhm.
back and forth in my seat in court, so the jury can see it. Like, I would act like I had Tourette's. Yo, the jury's like, yo, this guy is crazy. We need to give him 10 years at least.
Something's off, yeah.
Yeah, let's just
I
give him
mean,
10 years because something wrong with him.
these kids are definitely like another level. I mean, you know, like I was just telling Miguel, like, what I do for work. You guys know my job very clearly, right?
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, like when you deal with like family practice, you got to deal with so much. And I had a lot of tormented young children. Like, it was crazy to me. Starting in elementary school, I had kids that, like, I would have to be in meetings because my practice was like, it was like a community health practice, and it was in a school, so I dealt with a lot of kiddos. And I'm talking about not like high school only, I'm talking about kids like elementary school, like fourth grade to kindergarten. And there were a lot of times where I would have to be in meetings with like the principal and the parents to give like clinical opinion on kids' behaviors, because I would have kids in like first and second grade using rulers, pencils, whatever they found as like weapons to hurt other kids. And I was like, I can't believe like this is going on in elementary school. And then my poor high schoolers were just tormented with bullying and suicidal thoughts and, just being in bad homes. And these kids, I'm like, wait a minute, like, I'm not that old yet, but I don't recall in high school. I recall in high school, my biggest fear was I don't look cute today and I don't want to be fat. Like those
Mm.
were my two biggest things, like I don't look cute today. I didn't dress up for school and I don't want to be fat. Like those were my two biggest fears. And then in elementary school, I thought boys had cooties and boys thought girls had cooties. So we didn't even touch each other. So like how are these kids nowadays, like what is going on that these kids and these teenagers are growing up so tormented? Like it's just not normal behavior. It's just not normal. Something's off. So I don't know. I mean, I knew something was off when when he just stabbed a kid, cuz it's just not a normal reaction. Like it was a little bit of an exaggerated reaction when he stabbed that kid. I mean, like I said, me and my friend were talking about this earlier, and yeah, what Austin was doing is terrible. Like, I don't, all of that racist stuff he was on and him acting, reckless and stuff. But what Carmelo did was just, what he was on was like another level. Like, he wanted to be a YN really bad. And he got it. But when you want to be a YN really bad, these are the consequences. You got to be able to go do the time, you know?
Yeah. Let me see what Morris said. I believe it's social media influencing them as well. I believe that too.
I believe it.
And the music.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And look at the people that represent the black and brown community. I mean, the women, the
Mhm.
men, look at the way families are being built. I mean, look at who these kids, even young women like in, around my age or whatever, in their 30s and 40s, look at the way they're acting. Like I remember growing up, Max, if you had two baby daddies, you were looked at like a little thought. Like, oh yeah, you're a thought. Now it's like normal for women to have two, three, four baby daddies, as long as those two, three, or four baby daddies could pay a nice whop of child support.
Mhm.
Like it's like, girl, yeah, go get your bag. And I'm
Right.
like, what? When I was growing up, like we talked about people like that. Like, why do you have so many baby daddies? And now it's like you want to be a baby mama. Like that's okay. As long as he's paying you child support. And as long as you're gonna get money. So it doesn't matter if you're baby mama number two, three, four, five, or six, as long as he's like you're okay with lining up and being part of the lineup.
Right.
It's crazy to me. Like I'm just like, wait a minute.
We're in a
When I
different
was growing
era.
up, that was not it.
We're in a different era now.
Yeah, this is a different breed of kids.
We're in a different era, guys. I feel like I'm in a different timeline, to be honest with you. Can you see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Let me see.
I want to show
No,
you how
I
I
just
would
see you.
in court because the jury is not. I'm going to show you a picture right now. It's an illustration on how I would have been acting crazy in court and being insane. Okay, okay, that's how I would have came to court, guys. I'm sorry, y'all not going to give me 30 years.
That
You
is
see the
crazy.
pinwheel hat,
I see that.
and they're looking crazy. I'm just here for the snacks.
Yep. That's so funny though.
Okay,
That's yeah.
I got to do what I got to
Sitting there
do.
biting your nails and all.
Right, I'm not going to sit there and do that. No, Joe, you're not gonna sit here and give me 30 years. You said not the helicopter hat. Yes, the helicopter hat. You lucky I ain't put the tinfoil hat on. You're not gonna sit here and give me 30 years. I'm gonna plead insane. You're gonna have to give me 10 or something.
Well, I mean, I feel bad for the kid because at the end of the day, it's like I honestly, as a mom, I don't have kids, but like if I was a mom, I would not want to lose a child in any manner. It's just not supposed to be the circle of life where parents are burying their kids. And now it's actually I think seen more than it was, I want to say 10, 15 years ago, but it's just not the circle of life. So it's painful. Um but it's like two kids' lives were really ruined, and one of them was completely a choice. Like there's no when I was Carmelo's age, my mom was looking through stuff in my room, and I will never forget. I used to get so mad. And I used to be like, "Why are you looking in my room? Stop looking through my stuff." And there's no way I would have been able to have a gun or a knife or anything in my room without my mom knowing that I had that. And now, as an adult, I appreciate it because that's an old school way of thinking, like my house, my rules. And I had friends that grew up very like recklessly, whose parents would let them be out at like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and be out at parties and have guns and have things that they really we weren't supposed to have, because we didn't understand the consequences of having these things. And I have a couple of friends that are doing life in prison for committing dumb crimes. And
Yeah.
and this started at the age of 15. And I remember at 17 years old, 18 years old, being in high school, and graduating high school, my mom would still walk in my room. She wouldn't knock, and she would look through my stuff. There were times where, like, if she came home early from work and I was still at school, she'd just be looking around in my room. And I would be like, "Why are you looking at my stuff?" And I would get so mad because I was a rebellious teenager. But she was like, "My house, my rules. And whatever you have in my house that can affect you or me needs to go. So I'm going to make sure that you're not hiding something you don't need to be hiding." And I appreciate that, because it literally kept me with a certain fear of there are certain things I'm just not going to do because my mom's going to kill me before anybody else does, you
Right.
know?
Right.
But these kids, like, what? Why are you taking pictures with guns? Or why is that even a thing? And your
Yeah.
parents, either don't know about it or were oblivious to it because his parents got up there and acted like he was just a great child that did nothing wrong.
They may not have known.
But that's how. This is not like a 25-year-old guy that did, like, this is still a teenager, like, living in your home. How do you not know? You know that case about those teenage boys here in that actually happened like 20 minutes from my house that were killed by that white guy. And I want to say he I don't think he got charged with anything. I mean, they charged him, but he was whatever, whatever.
They they broke in his house.
Yeah. That was
I
like
remember.
20 minutes from my house. I was in Rockdale County. And those were teenagers. They were teenagers. I want to say 15, 16 years old. I'm like, wait a minute. What were you doing at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning running the streets? Where were your parents? Granted, if they were working, because a lot of the times you got to be mindful, you don't know somebody's home situation. If they may have been working. But so I can empathize with a parent who may have to work an extra job at night or whatever. I empathize with parents because I understand that. But what I mean, what were you doing that your kids at the age of 15 were just running the streets so comfortable breaking into somebody's home? Because you got to be too comfortable to do that.
Right.
It's just how I feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of them things. But like I said, with this Carmelo situation, like I knew what the judge was going to rule today. I knew that. It's just,
Hmm.
we know about these trials. We follow these trials all the time. We've seen people get it's a normal thing to request for a new trial after you've been convicted. That's what people do. and the judge decide on it, and they usually say no. Um, Diddy did the same thing. It's a normal thing, but now he had to go through the appeal. That appeal could take years, man. Years, years.
I
And
feel bad.
yeah, it's crazy. He's young. It's what,
I feel
18,
really bad.
19.
Hmm.
Oh man.
Whole
But
life just down the drain
well,
over
here's the
an
thing.
impulse.
He got 30, so he could possibly he gonna do at least 25. At least. He gonna do at least 25. Because they're gonna deny him the first time. So let's see. Uh he'll be out before he in his mid 40s. He's still got his life ahead of him.
Hmm.
So he can go to college while he's incarcerated. He can at least get his degree. He can do a lot of things, learn a trade, stuff like that. I mean, ideally, he don't want to be in there, but I mean, you gotta play the hand you dealt right now. So it is what it is. But like I said, it's not over. I don't want people to think I'm saying it's over. I mean, you got the appeals, but guys, I know how Texas operate. Did you see how much time they're giving people for THC now products? A lot of time. Texas is they want to fill them jails up. It seemed like
But you know what's so crazy? I know like a lot like this Nancy, what is it? No, the Clancy trial. What's her name? I don't know. I don't even know the girl's name.
I forget her name. I know you talk.
But Clancy trial in Massachusetts. And you know Massachusetts is a very pro for the people state. You know that we saw that with Aaron
What was
Hernandez.
her verdict?
Huh?
Did they have a verdict?
I don't know. I think she's still on trial. I haven't been following it. Um, to be 100% honest with you, I haven't really been following it. But it's a very, Massachusetts was Commonwealth. It's very pro people. It's all of that stuff, right? So I was talking to my friend about it because she was like, I can't believe they just didn't sentence her. And I said, well, you know what? Actually, I feel like healthcare failed her, to a certain extent. I do feel that way. I feel like she kind of fell through the cracks from the little bit of stuff that I have heard. I feel like that, you know, she was very, 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 very ill. And what a lot of people don't realize is with mental health. So I actually have a very close friend right now that is going through, like, it's a family and we're all I know them very well. I've known them for years. But years ago, um her son had like this, just went psycho. I'm not even gonna lie, like just went full blown psycho. And he was admitted into Grady, which is like a bigger, like a huge healthcare system here or whatever.
Yeah.
And Grady has, so they kept him because he went full blown psycho, went to like the police station and was saying somebody was trying to kill him and his brother was against him and like a whole bunch of stuff. So when they came out and like they told me all the symptoms and stuff, I was telling them like, hey, he honestly sounds like schizo. You need to get him some help. Schizophrenia does not go away on its own. He needs medication. And he was right at that age where a lot of adults get diagnosed, especially men. And so I was telling her, like, look, the statistics say this, and like from the little bit that I do know about mental health, he's at about that cusp of age where a lot of men start to reveal some symptoms of schizophrenia. And sometimes they start off very mild and it can be very well controlled, but he has to be consistent with the medications. Like, you can't just let this go. Well, they're in denial. They were like, oh no, he just, had an anxiety attack and a panic attack, and he'll be all right. So now, granted, this was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Well, they gave him medication. He wasn't consistent with the medication. They referred him to psych. He's had two more admissions after that where they've kept him 1013 in the hospital, which we don't even call it that anymore. They completely changed the names and stuff because he's had quite a bit of, attacks. Like, he's had schizo attacks.
Hmm.
And I was telling my friend, I said, this is a very progressive mental health condition. However, you see him and you have a conversation with him and he presents totally normal. You would never, ever, ever think this man is schizophrenic. Presents totally normal, has his own apartment, works. Um, you only know something's wrong with him when he's in an active crisis. Other than that, you have no idea that this,
When he's in the
child,
active races, how does
that
he
this
act?
man, he has a lot of auditory and like visual hallucinations, and he gets very paranoid. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like textbook definition of like paranoia, hallucinations, and they progressively intensify. Now, I'm not a mental health expert, that's not my thing, but from what I know, obviously what my clinical training is, it kind of progressively gets worse. And so they're in denial. They have not seen psych. They refuse to see psych. They refuse to acknowledge that he's schizophrenic, and now he's progressively getting worse, um, to the point where he can barely get to work. And I was telling my friend, I said, hey, like, you need to go ahead and get him some help, because what a lot of people don't realize is these people that you see that are homeless, a lot of the times they become homeless because they have underlying mental health issues that become progressive. And in the black and brown community, we don't want to acknowledge mental health. We want to sit here and call everything a nervous breakdown, and that's not a nervous breakdown. Like, he's going into full blown psychosis. But when he gets out of his psychosis, once he's been admitted for a week, he comes back and he presents totally normal. And unfortunately, mental health can present totally normal. So I can see how the system has failed this woman, in a nutshell, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I can see how the system may have failed her, or she just kind of, I don't know, just got lost in the mix. Like, there's too many patients. They're just looking at, just they're just looking at somebody with quote unquote postpartum depression, but they don't realize that it can turn into a full blown psychosis. And then that's no longer just manageable with two or three medications. Like, you actually probably need to be in a ward until you can get out of that psychotic state.
right,
And it's not like a maybe 1 week thing or 2 week thing. It could be like continuous inpatient treatment. So I don't know. I don't justify what she did at all, because she killed her kids. But I do feel like, to a certain extent, there's not enough awareness on mental health, like outside of depression and anxiety. That's not there, like, all there is to mental health.
right. Yeah, yeah, it's I gotta. Do you remember her name?
Ooh, Clancy?
Yeah,
I think it's
her name's
Clancy or
Clancy.
something like that.
Let me see. Oh, I see it. Yeah, it said she admits to deleting her children. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. It says, why is Lindsay Clancy case dividing Americans? Yeah, I see that. Okay, I'm gonna have to follow that. I'm gonna have to keep up on that then.
Yeah, it's a really sad case. I mean, yeah. I've seen some bad psychotic I've seen some stuff. Oh God. That is one of the things that I have actually quite a few friends that work in that do mental health, like that's their specialty in all different areas. And um I will tell you, I bow down to them, because I'm like, I can't do mental health. Like, it's draining. If you don't know how to separate from that, you will take that stuff home. It's not something I want to ever. I don't whenever I have patients that have mental health issues, I'm like, look, you need to go with somebody who can actually genuinely help you, because I can't connect with you on that level. There's not much that I can do. And I tell my friends, I mean, I have some that work with women, like, you know, what's her name? Clancy? I don't know her name. Um, and
Lindsay
then I
Clancy.
have some, yeah, I have some that work with children, and then I have some that just work with adults overall. And I'm telling you, I've seen some messed up kiddos. I'm like, ain't no way in hell this 5-year-old is talking about killing himself or killing his mom. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something else. I'm gonna have to keep up on a because it could go to closing arguments as early as Monday. It could. So I'm gonna keep up on that to see. And because I know some people follow the case all the way through, but I don't know. Like in this case, like she was sick. They said before that she was a really good mom.
She was a nurse. She was a
She
labor and delivery nurse. And then when I was like listening to the psych doctor who was going over all of her meds, I mean, I just, you look at some people and in order for you to deal with people that have psych issues, you genuinely have got to love dealing with people. It is not something you can just do to do. And there was something about her, like, there was something about her that I just couldn't. I'm like, wait a minute, this lady just doesn't seem empathetic. Doesn't definitely, you didn't sympathize with the woman. You don't give me you can empathize or sympathize with your patients, and you got to be able to have one or the other when it comes to dealing with patients. Not every single patient, um but you got to be able to have, when you're taking care of people on that level, not just, I'm not just talking about like, oh, okay, be an account, like, I'm talking about when you have to legit take care of somebody to that extreme. You got to be able to sympathize with that person, like, and really have a level of connection with them to understand how things can go left very quickly. Like, it can't just be, oh yeah, you're going through psychosis, here's another medication, let me throw it on top. So, you know, it just gotta, just my opinion.
yeah. Well, we'll see what the jury because the jury could practice jury nullification. They could nullify it just because, but we'll see. And that's a hard one there because everybody said she was cool before that. She had an episode
Yeah, and then
that,
she tried
that
to
can
kill herself. Huh?
that can just it can happen to anybody. That's why I'm kind of like, damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta be like very mindful. And so when it comes to like mental health, I'm always extremely mindful of how I judge people, right? Because I mean, I've seen depression to a point where people are defecating on themselves, peeing on themselves, not eating, um, cutting themselves, have tried to, kill themselves several times. I've seen it in older adults, I've seen it in younger kids, I've seen it in middle age adults, full blown. I mean, to the point where you're like, what's going on? Like, this is just, for somebody like me, even me being in healthcare, is like, what is going on? This is just not normal behavior. But
Right.
I've seen it. Yeah. They do, Miguel. They definitely, they do. Some, those meds that she was on, I mean, when they were going through all of her med list, Max, I'm like, this lady had a damn pharmacy, a
I know.
psych pharmacy.
I did hear that part.
I'm like, golly, so nobody stopped to think like, hey, maybe we need to admit you to inpatient at this point. Because you're usually like, my rule is this: if I'm treating you for something and you're on medication number 3, I'm referring you to the specialist. And these were specialists. So it's like, well, damn, nobody thought to like think, well, maybe we need to just go ahead and you know, inpatient. I don't know.
Right.
So I'm like, she has a whole.
Mm.
I don't know. She had a pharmacy, man. She
She did.
she had a whole pharmacy. Like,
I know.
I was like, listen,
She was taking a.
once you gotta start giving, even if it's hypertension, like once you're on medication number 3, and we're still talking about hypertensive emergency and urgency, I'm sending your ass to nephrology, because there's no way once you're on 3 or 4 different meds, we can't control you. Something else must be going on. And if it ain't, that's fine. Let them take another look.
You said something else going on.
Yeah, I don't even play like that. I
Yeah.
don't even play like that, because this is how people have to then get on the stand and defend their care of plan, their plan of care, sorry, for a patient. Because sometimes you have to recognize when stuff is going south, and when you have to now get help from other people. You know what I mean? Or a team, a collaborative team. And this is how you end up on the stand, because you had a patient on 55 different drugs, not even meds, let's just be honest, drugs, and you couldn't control her psychosis. That's when you should have stepped in and said, wait a minute, after 3 or 4 meds, what's the plan? Now we need a backup plan, because plan A is not working. Plan B failed. And so now what's plan C?
Right. Man, that's scary, man. It's
Mhm. Like, she had a pharmacy. I was like, God, like, wait a minute. She had a pharmacy. I can honestly say that. Yeah. Yeah, mental health in the black community is underserved, is what Raymond said. Yeah, in the black and brown community, mental health is not taught or spoken of very much.
that's crazy.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think I think it's just,
Is her husband still
I don't
alive?
know. I don't know.
Is her
Huh?
husband still?
Yeah, I think he remarried,
Man.
if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
Oh God.
Mm.
Who is JP
Jay
Sportman?
Sportsman. Oh man. He said put that under the prison. Well, I mean, if it's true, because it wasn't proven fact, but they said there were text messages. I mean, if he said, because they said what they're alleging is his girlfriend broke up with him and he snapped, and
Mhm.
that wasn't introduced in the trial. So, yeah, it's something else. She was,
I mean,
man.
it's sad. It's a sad case all the way around. Nobody wants to bury a child, so
Look what he said. Evan.
what do you say?
Said, not gonna lie, Max. After I saw both for what they did, good riddance.
Miguel. Cut it out. I'm done.
He's talking about the messages and the graffiti.
The other one. The damn nut. I saw that.
They
I
know
said, ooh,
with nut
he was rough
jobs.
too.
Both of the twins. I mean, shit. Like It's crazy out
I
here, man.
just it is. I'm telling you, these kids are jacked up in the head.
I mean,
These
they
minds are not
were they on
all the way
medication?
right.
You said
Hmm?
apparently the Metcalf boy was beating up girls, and yeah, he was. They said
He
back
was. He
in
punched that girl.
yeah, they said he pushed her
Mm-hmm.
down so hard she hurt her shoulder. This was when he was like
Yep.
10.
Yep.
I don't know that JPS. I hope not. I hope he ain't nobody's girlfriend. But that happens in prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said, man,
I,
divine intervention for those two. That yeah, it was crazy. You say he's only 160 pounds. Well, no, in the prison he's in is for people that have health issues, and it's older people in there. So he's in a place where it's still prison. I mean, anything could still happen to him, but
can
he's in.
you imagine? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What you saying?
I was saying, can you imagine you wake up and you don't know that you're gonna end up going to jail or possibly going to prison for the rest of your life because of a mistake that you make
Yep, it's crazy.
that one day, like in a spur of a moment.
It's crazy. I watched this guy on TikTok. He's in prison and he cooks all these meals in prison.
Hmm.
Heaven could be a chef the way he make them meals
Really?
and the ingenuity he has. He took the metal slab on his bunk bed.
Hmm.
He hooked up soda cans to electricity to heat up the whole metal slab, and that's how he cooks. And
Wow.
imagine what he could have did with that mind on the outside. And like the meals he makes, it's just crazy. And people buy from him. That's how he makes his money. And he has all this commissary having it's like he got chip. I never seen somebody with so many bag of chips. But he hooks up bags for people. He said, "This is a $50 bag right here." Okay. And he got a whole thing money making system and they off the food. But it's still jail though. Let me see if I can find it. I gotta show you this. I got
Yeah. So you know what's crazy, that when you say that, like I feel like prison can make or break you, right? Like you can come out of prison and be a better person and actually rehabilitate yourself, right? Not prison, but you yourself, like because you have nothing but time in there. You have nothing but time, so you can either appreciate that time, right, that you have to see where if you have a chance of getting out, because there's people that just don't have a chance of getting out, right? um there's just people that's like, okay, I got nothing but time for the rest of my life, so whatever, right? I'm gonna find something fun to do. That can mean trouble, like my friend that stays in trouble, or that can mean, hey, I'm gonna actually try to do something productive with people in prison, because there are decent people in prison. I don't believe that everybody that goes to prison is a evil hearted person. I think that there can be some people in prison who really made mistakes when they were young, fell, victim of their environment. And hey, this is, you committed a crime. But I think that there's people that can go to prison, like that man that you're saying, or that guy, and can actually do something productive with their time, and then come out. You never know. He might be a chef. He might have his own restaurant. He might have his
you
own
see,
food truck.
see the screen, haven't see this?
Yeah.
Look at
Let
this.
me see. Play it.
These are the things that they get the grill hot.
Uh-huh. Poppy. Okay.
Just look at how he heating up his stuff through the and look at that. He's making a whole. It looked good too. I ain't gonna lie. Evan, I eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's prison, folks. That's prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like he making a whole spread up in there.
Yeah. I mean the you're right, Miguel. The human, like the mind, the body, it's all about adapting, and it's all about routine. So like I remember, I will never forget this phrase that a friend of mine told me. And she said, so I was going through like a really bad breakup at that time. And she goes, well, what you miss is probably not the person that you're breaking up with. And it made sense, obviously, years later. But when you like break up with somebody, right? You, a lot of the times, it's not even about missing the person, it's about missing the routine that you had with that person, because your mind and your body, and you kind of just adapt to having that person in your life and being with that person and doing things with that person, even if you're no longer emotionally happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
um but yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, Miguel. Miguel is a whole vibe. But yeah, Max, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Pretty
don't know.
cool though, what that guy was doing. It's what people do.
Yep.
So where is Ryan?
Sometime
I
he
haven't,
come on.
I haven't
Get
seen
that.
him in a while. I haven't seen him in a while.
He was on the last time. He came on for the Keefe D trial.
Oh yeah, what's up with that?
Um, I don't know what's gonna happen next week. I think because his lawyer didn't put on his case yet, so we gotta wait. It might be some more trial to go. I don't know.
Mm, that's so crazy. That is so crazy. I was watching some of it, but it's like I go in and out. How's Liz doing?
No, she doing all right. I think she thinks she's doing okay.
Um, Baby was so cutesy.
Yeah. Yep. She knows she busy.
Yeah. So Raymond said the burden he is bearing is on him. He now needs to make the best out of the worst situation of his life for now. I would have to agree with that.
Yep. Pretty much.
I mean, he doesn't really have a choice. He can't break out of there and be a free man, but he's kind of stuck in there. And man, but I knew they weren't going to grant him a retrial. I knew that. I just had a feeling. I
Right.
had a feeling, Max. I was like, mm-mm, I don't
Nah.
think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I will say, you see how this is why I was saying this is why I don't go to back for anybody, because you know, granted, when everybody was saying, when everything was going on, when his trial was going on, and people were saying that Austin Metcalf was a bully and this and this and this and that, and I was like, look, despite what this kid did, whatever, growing up, what he did at another moment. We're talking about in this situation, he was not being a bully, and he was not the one in the wrong place at the wrong time at the wrong time. He was not in the wrong. You can push somebody and get pushed back, but you can't push somebody and stab somebody in return. There's levels to things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is why I don't go to back for anybody, because why am I going to back for anybody? Look at the messages that came out about Carmelo. Nobody was anticipating those messages.
No.
Everybody was just looking at a black kid who appeared to be a great student, who appeared to be a decent kid, you know, go on trial for murdering somebody. But I'm like, now how are you going to look when you were sitting here going to back for this kid when he was obviously a troubled child? Now granted, let's remove Austin out of this, like, and what he was doing. Let's just talk about what Carmelo was doing. He was a troubled child, flat out. There's no way around that. Okay, yeah. So Austin did his thing, and what he did was horrible. But what Carmelo did was 10 times worse. Like, you can't unalive somebody because they push you. It's just the reality of it, and think you're just gonna walk free. Can't do that.
Right.
Just can't.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, you just can't do that
Let me see.
at all.
I think is people outside the courtroom today? I'm not sure. I know he said he was making a ruling today, but let me see. Is people? No.
Where's Medea?
She was on the other day.
Mhm.
Man, it's crazy, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Move on to the next one.
On to the next. I remember when
Oh, did Little Dirt trial start yet?
no, but I want to see that one too.
Let me see. Let me look into that one.
Hey, wait. So what's going on with Mangione?
Oh, he's pleading guilty on a federal level.
So how much time you gonna get?
I think let me see. He's probably looking at he got a sweet deal if he gets it, if the judge agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. As of the 22nd, it says jury selection has been completed. They seated the 12 plus 4. So it starts Monday. Little Dirt.
Oh, are you gonna cover that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. If
I
they
like Little Dirk, believe it or not. I
yeah, I'm
like him.
gonna cover that one. Because I believe if it's on YouTube, yes, I'm gonna be watching it. He has some good lawyers.
I like him. He's one of the few rappers that I like. Huh?
He has some good lawyers. He has
Mm-hmm.
Young Thug lawyer,
Oh God.
and he
Let's not
has
talk about that one.
Finley. He has two good lawyers.
Hold on. That YSL trial, like, you talk about straight embarrassment for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't, so I'm gonna respond to something Raymond was saying. I don't care if his messages were from when he was 10 years old. It shows a pattern of behavior. And it just comes to show that in his mind, he's already thought about committing a crime to that level. So when you have, whether it was 2 years ago, he was what, Max? How old was Carmelo when he stopped? 17? What, at 17?
17.
18? Okay. When you are starting at the age of 14 or 15 years old talking about unaliving people, something's wrong. There's no other way to interpret that. I don't care if the messages were 6 years old, 10 years old. It's a pattern of behavior. So again, I'm not saying that what Austin was doing is correct. But when I'm looking at levels, like I had to tell my friend, there's levels to crimes. You can be a criminal, but somebody who's committing petty crimes is not the same as somebody who's walking around here murdering somebody, right? Somebody breaking into a store to steal snacks and food is not the same as somebody who is committing armed robberies and putting guns to people's heads. It's very different things. Both of these boys were troubled kids, but they were troubled kids to different degrees. Okay. When you're talking about unaliving somebody
Medea,
as a,
Medea.
huh?
There you go, Medea right there.
I know. I just saw her. I told her if she was going to come on.
Oh, okay.
But um there's levels to it. So whether the messages were a month old, 2 years old, 10 years old, when you're talking about unaliving people and bringing guns to school, you're on another level. At this point, you're trying to be a thug in the streets, and you got to realize, in order for you to be a thug in the streets, you got to be able to commit to that time that you're going to get when you start talking about different levels of crimes. So it doesn't matter how old those messages were, it shows a pattern of behavior, right? For both of them. One, with Austin feeling like he could push somebody and jump up and tell Carmelo to leave his tent. That was a pattern in his behavior. But then Carmelo feeling like he could walk around with a knife is a major pattern in behaviors, especially at the age of 17. And when you've already spoken on unaliving people and how you want to unalive somebody, that's a whole nother level right there. So let's just have a realistic conversation. And I feel like that's where people don't don't want to have these conversations, because it has to do with people that look like us. But I'm not going to ignore facts because you look like me. As a matter of fact, I'm yet going to actually hold you to higher standards, because you already have certain odds against you because you're a young black man. There are already certain standards and certain odds against you in society. So I'm going to hold you to a higher standard than I'm going to hold a young white male, especially in a prominent community, or especially in an upper middle class community. That's just the reality of it. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not going to talk about that.
You said, does the decision finally mean this case was never about race? Um, I mean, I don't, I know we're talking about the crime part. Like, it's just that he just didn't get a new trial. That's all it is. I mean, he stabbed somebody and killed somebody. It's murder. I don't know. Murder is murder, man. He made a bad decision, Cap, for life. He made a bad decision.
And that's just what it is,
Yeah, that's
you
it's that.
know? I
But
don't. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
don't feel that way. They don't. Some people don't. This lady, I was reading a comment because I was on Facebook. It said I have to, up my engagement. So I said, let me
Hmm.
read a few comments. This lady said, "What side are you on?"
What? The
Yeah,
side of sense?
I
Like
said,
common sense?
I don't want nobody putting a knife in my chest. That's not normal.
Right.
That's
Like
all.
I told this lady, so I was looking at somebody else's video. I don't know who made a video about it, but I asked her, I said, so how would you feel if you had a teenage son who had issues, right? And you know that he had issues, but another kid who was just as troubled or more troubled than him decided to stab him in the chest over him pushing him. I said, how would you feel about that?
Right.
I said, whenever you feel like it's okay to speak on somebody taking somebody else's life, put yourself in those shoes, right? And say, okay, if this was my son, regardless of who he was as a person, right? It did not give Carmelo the right to unalive him over a push. It ain't like Austin pulled out a knife and Carmelo defended him. It's not like Austin was whooping his behind to the point where the only alternative that he had was to stab him. It wasn't that level. You are a hothead. You are a hothead. And so whenever you feel like you can go tell somebody, oh, Metcalf was a bully, regardless of that, it's not another person's place to unalive a bully. It's not, it's that's not how things work. When you choose like you have to unalive somebody, you need to have a reason. And when you don't have valid reasons to do so, these are the consequences. You sit in jail, you sit in prison. It don't have anything to do. Exactly. You can't use deadly force on somebody. You are therefore committing a murder. So that's just the facts of it. There's no black, white, Indian, Asian, blue, pink. It's none of that. Those are the facts. Let's stick to the facts.
Yeah, that's like, for example, I was telling somebody, because we were going back and forth. I wasn't going back and forth. I was just reading comments on Facebook because I was getting so many. And I said to her, I said, "Do you have any children or whatever?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What happens if your son don't? Let's say if your son was bigger than the person. Let's say if he pushed him, right, and
Hmm.
the kid knifed your son in the chest. How would you feel?" And she said, "Well, I would have to accept it because it's self defense." I said, "Bullshit." I said, "Ma'am, come on." I said, "Ma'am, don't BS me." I said, "If your son got stabbed in the chest, you would not think that's okay unless you don't like your son.
Right.
You're not going to think that's okay, not off a push, because you know what's going to happen. You would say that's very excessive, and that person should spend the rest of their life in prison."
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what's interesting though? I have to respect it though. Some people, heaven, they're not trying to hear that. They said, "Nah, man, we're not gonna. It's self defense, and this is this system is messed up, and blah blah." Blah. They're not trying to hear it. So I'm just like, I fall back. I just know I am like, all right, whatever. I just know when I was growing up. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect when I was growing up either. But normally, when me and my friends we had a dispute, we fought, and then next thing you know, we're not talking to each other for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then next thing you know, we back on the bikes playing again. We don't we fight with our fists if we had to fight. You know, we don't want to bring a knife to a fist fight.
Bullies is not a new thing, right? Bullies are not new. Bullies have been around
Right.
for forever. We all had a bully in school, right? I had a
Mhm.
bully growing up. We've all had bullies, okay? Bullies is not a new thing, all right? Kids being bullied is not a new thing. Remember what I just told you a while back, where I used to work with a lot of elementary school kids. And these kids in elementary school were bullying each other at the age of 4 or 5, okay? 6, 7 years old. Bullying is not new.
Right.
Why this is all now becoming a thing of, oh my God, you must hurt and stop the bully. The reason why that was even a thing is because it was a black child going to jail and a white kid being murdered, and then there were comparison of other cases where other boys were only sentenced, or other young men were only sentenced to 10, 15 years or whatever, right? But the
Hmm.
thing is, were those other, like, because I even brought it up, I said, you know what, um let's look at the case analysis. And I think I was like the first person to bring that up on your channel and say, hey, this was a similar situation, but there's
Right.
got to be something that we're missing. There's got to be something that we're not understanding here, right? And now, to be 100% honest with you, I feel like there were patterns and behaviors in this case that was different from Allison's case. You know what I mean? It was an erratic spur of the moment thing. the
Right.
the the trial wasn't live, so we don't know what was actually said and was not said at that time.
Right.
But what I was what I was telling one of the, I was at a doctor's appointment and they were talking about it in the waiting area, and I found it very shocking that they were talking about this at one of my doctor's appointments. And the one of the the older lady said, oh well, my grandkids said that the white boy was a bully. And I said, ma'am, you're 60 something years old. Did you not have bullies in your age, in your era? when you were in school? Oh, of course. I said, okay, well, were you walking around stabbing each other because somebody was a bully? Or were you just beating up each other and fighting and doing things that were malicious on a naive, childish level? Let's just be honest. Because there's a difference between you saying, well, I beat up the bully, than you saying I killed the bully. Completely different. Bullies have been around for since you and I were kids.
Right.
So this is not new. But like you said, when we were growing up, we used to fight and push each other. And if you beat somebody up, that was the worst thing you could do.
And then you go back to being friends.
Right.
Yep.
So that's just what it is.
Well, at this point, hey, we already knew that he was going to be denied a new trial. I mean, you're rarely going to get a new trial after a conviction. Judges usually they don't usually override a trial judge. It's very rare. Um, he has the appeal process, but that could take years for him to exhaust all his appellate rights. And I believe that what they sentenced him to 30 years, that's what he got, man. 30
Y-
years.
You know what bothers me is when you take people, like, I didn't like the way, I don't think that this judge, what was the judge's name? The original, I forgot now. I don't even remember people's names anymore. Um, the original judge that sat on the case, I don't feel like what he said was out of line. I don't feel like what he said was out of character. He didn't come off like an unfair person to me. He came off like a reasonable person, and he said, you know what? We said the jury was going to allow them to come up with a sentence, and that's what they did. And it's not my place to question that. They were given options, and this is what was selected. He didn't give me a bigot. He didn't give me somebody who was prejudiced, who was, siding with the Metcalf. His interview was straight to the point. It didn't sound rehearsed. He didn't have to rethink and think what he was going to say. So I didn't think that he was an unfair person at all. Now, I do question, if he would have been a black judge, would people have been coming down his throat the same way? I do question that. Because I'm like, this man was doing his job. How are you coming after somebody for doing their job?
You talking about the trial judge?
Yes.
The only reason why he was recused, which they were being fair for Carmelo Anthony, was being fair. So they said that, his prior statements, he said that the jury got it right. So
The
they said, you know
jury
what?
got it right.
We're going to recuse him and give him another trial. They're going to give him another judge. So that's what they did. The retiring judge, I mean, the judge that's retired, he made the decision. So, I mean, if he can take that up in the appellate, at
Right.
this, Evan, that's it. He
But the
just take it
thing is,
up.
he's saying, the jury got it right. Okay, we don't know, right, what that man was exposed to and what he wasn't exposed to before.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he could be speaking on the fact of, we probably did not allow, and I'm just saying, if he's seen those text messages, right,
Mm,
right, that
yeah.
Carmelo was sending, then he's probably thinking, well, listen, we got a young man off the streets who was already contemplating or who was already speaking about murder. So we don't know how much further this could have went,
Whew.
you know? So
Yeah.
regardless of that, it wasn't a malicious intent behind that comment.
Could
And
you
that's that.
imagine, Heaven, could you imagine though, if they allowed those texts? If I know people are saying, well, it's not an established fact, but could you imagine if they allowed the text messages in court? He would have got
He
life.
would have been their life. It would
He
have
would
been
have
a done
got life
deal.
with no parole.
Yeah, he would have got life.
That's it. They would have gave him life, folks.
He would have got life. That's why I'm like, sometimes you got to shut the hell up, and sometimes you just got to be quiet, because you don't ever know. You keep pushing buttons, and you're gonna find yourself in a worse situation. So see, but at the time, nobody knew that. So everybody was sticking up for this kid like he was just, a perfect child, and boy, did they shut the hell up. Now those people don't have nothing to say.
Ooh, that boy, man. Now let me ask you guys something. Those text messages, were they sent the day of the crime?
Mm,
Anybody know?
those text messages, some of them were like from 2024.
I'm
They were
talking
old
about
messages.
lick the blood off the knife.
They were old. I don't know when exactly they were sent, but I was like, that's nasty. What? That's
Anybody know when
nasty.
you were sent?
I mean, let's look them up.
Research,
Just look them
but
up.
yeah, I can look it up.
Just
That's
look it up. I know some. I was looking at some, and it was some were like from 2024, so they were quite
oh,
old.
okay. 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great night, Bushmaster.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah. So let me see. It's 2024. Whew. I don't know. That's some hell of a messages. No, but I thought that his girlfriend had broke up with him and he started sending her crazy messages. I wonder when that was. Was that somebody said it was the day of the incident? I could be wrong, but
Mm,
still craziness. You know, they used to know what they used to say in my day.
what?
You do the crime, you got to do the time.
Do the time. Hmm.
You made your bed.
Commit the crime. Yep.
That's how it
Made.
is.
What did they say? You made your bed. You got to lay in it or something
What
like
they used
that.
to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's why I
the
said you wanted to be a YN out here. Well, you can't be crying now. You can't be talking
yeah.
about you
That's
want to.
what they used to say that.
Nah, baby. You wanted to be a YN. You, hey,
What else is
you
going on
wanted to
out?
be in the streets.
What else is going on out in the world that you want to talk about? What else is going on?
Mm.
Oh, I can
Remember what?
what were you
Huh?
about to say? What were you about to say?
That stuff that I sent you about Cunningham, Sophie Cunningham. See, that became a big deal about what
Right.
she said about how men shouldn't play in women's sports, and
Well,
now
here's the
people are
thing though.
attacking her.
Like, let me ask you a question on that. So, is somebody trying to join the WNBA that's transgender?
No, so I think I don't remember. So this interview was actually old. I don't think it's like a new interview that she did. Where she basically was saying how they basically have to protect, women and young girls and stuff. And so she doesn't agree with basically men playing in women's sports, that they have to protect young girls.
Right.
And, her coach never stood up for her. People were attacking her. Um, then
Oh,
they did like an interview. Huh?
Sophie Cunningham, that's the one that did the pointing, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then the coach came, and so they did an interview and they asked the coach, so like what do you consider a man or a woman? And she's talking about, well, I'm not a scientist. I said, okay, you're full of crap, because you should have defend your your player and said,
Well,
hey,
that's
you
easy.
know, huh?
If I was the reporter, you know what I would have said to her? You
Hmm.
know what I would have said to her? I'm XY and you XX. That's it. I said, you have a better chance. You know what I would have said to her?
Hmm.
Have two X's, you may not ever you lucky. Women usually never really get color blindness because they got two X's to cancel itself out. If the color blindness on one X, the other X cancels it out. So they normally never get colorblind. I would have just said that randomly because men are colorblind because we only have one X chromosome. Women have two. So they got one to cancel out. If you got color blindness on one X, the other X cancels it out.
You would have been so thrown off, Max.
So I would, you know what I would have said to her? You have two X's, correct? Yes or no? And if she said she don't know, then I would have just put my hands up and just shut up. I would have
Mm-mm.
shut up. And then you know what I would have said? Okay, so if you don't know that you have two X chromosomes and I have XY, and you're challenging that, so I need to sue my school then for teaching me wrong. I think we all have a case. If that's the
That's funny. That lady flat out said, I'm not a scientist, or
yeah, she
whatever
said
she
that.
said about science. And I was like, what? That's insane. Like, as a coach, you should have been sticking up for your player, because that girl gets, her and Clark get heavily bullied, honestly, for being white. And they're getting bullied by Reese and all these black girls, and it honestly, it bothers me, because I'm like, come on now, guys. You can give people their flowers if they're good. It's sportsmanship. But at the same time, these are all young girls in their early 20s. So what the hell do they know about
You know what it
sportsmanship
is?
nowadays?
You know what it is? They're having a pissing contest because I don't know if you noticed, um, not what is her name? Um, not Sophie Cunningham. What's the other one name that's really good?
Clark,
Clark.
Clark.
She talk a lot of shit, but you just don't hear it.
You
You know
don't.
you
She
know who
is,
she
I think
remind
she's
me of?
hilarious.
You know who she remind me of? She remind me of John Stockton because he used to do the same thing. You never knew he talked shit, but he did, and he'll do it to where you can't read his lips and you don't know he's doing it. And Larry Bird used to do the same thing. Oh, Larry Bird was the biggest shit talker, but he could back it up though. Larry Bird could back it up. John Stockton, he was on original Dream Team, so he could back it up too. But she'll say, look, she'll do certain things. You have to really pay attention to her, or you'll miss it. And
So
she might hit a
the
three.
girl
She
is
might,
good though.
yeah, she is good. She might hit a three in somebody's face and just stare at them. Little stuff like that. But she's a big girl. She can handle it. Listen, they having a pissing
She's
contest.
good.
So let them do. I'm here for it. But you know what I'm here for? Now, let's say, what is the WNBA going to do if somebody that consider themselves transgender want to join? What are they going to do?
I don't feel like that. I don't think men should be playing women's sports and women don't need to be playing. No, let me not say that. I don't think men should be playing on women's teams and
No,
vice
I'm here for
versa.
it, Evan. I want to see them dunk on somebody.
Like, what the hell? I don't think, there is no way. Like, let's just say what it is. Like, men and women are not physically equal. Like, a man is a man, a woman
you,
is a woman.
did you hear about that MMA? This was a couple years ago. It was an MMA fighter. He
Mm-hmm.
was identifying,
Yep.
as a woman,
Uh,
and he was talking shit to his opponent. You know what he said? He said,
uh,
"I'm going to give y'all a beating y'all never seen before."
oh.
And he single-handedly beat everyone. This one woman, he damn near broke both of her orbital bones. She said she's never been, he fractured her skull. She's never been hit that hard in her life. She said it felt like a brick, a Mack truck hitting her every hit. He punished that woman, broke her orbital
Was
bone.
that the Polish guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was talking shit. He said, I'm going to single handedly teach every one of you a lesson because I guess they might have said something to him. He
Yeah.
put a hurting on them. He sure did.
Yeah,
Or
but you know
she.
what? If I would have been, if I would have been those women, I honestly, I would have started a lawsuit so big against that. We would have bankrupt that damn company, because let me tell you something. There's no way a a sports league should allow a man to physically fight a woman in any type of competitive anything. It is, let me tell you, men biologically, physically, it does not matter how much you want to be a woman, how much you cut your ping ping off and put boobies on. You are biologically a man. You got way more testosterone than I have, and you ain't got all that estrogen and progesterone that I got. Okay? You got hair and you got a ding ding and you got the strength of a ding ding and no boobies. And you are made out of testosterone. So there is no reason why you should be allowed to punch me and knock me out and continue to fight and not get sued. I would have, all of us, I would have been like, we got to sue the hell out of that league, or they
But
won't ever
they
have a fight again.
they let him perform. They let her
It,
perform. He had a point,
it, that's wrong.
he
Like
was
that's just common
trash
sense.
to him too. He said, I'm gonna get y'all." He said, "I'm gonna put a whooping you ain't never seen before. I'm gonna give you a whooping you ain't never seen." And he did it too. She broke her orbital bone. Almost broke both of them. Almost. One was fractured and the other one was like about to break.
You
It
know,
was
that's how
like a
people get
vertebrae,
like
huh?
traumatic brain injuries and aneurysms and end up paraplegics, quadriplegics. They become vegetables like that.
She took a couple hits and that was it. The match was over. She took a knee. He
Yeah,
hit her
that's.
that hard.
I would have sued the hell out of that league. I would have been a millionaire just out of suing them.
Craziness.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But I am here for it for the WNBA because I want to see somebody dunk on somebody. And you
Okay.
know what? I would go to the game too just to laugh.
Can you imagine that a whole 6'6" tall big dude, a man, you know, trying to like, come on, that's just common sense. I feel
For
like this.
somebody 7 foot.
Yes, like come on, that's just common sense. And the thing that bothers me is people were so, this is, I don't speak on politics, but I tell people this all the time. Some of y'all voted for this. Some of you guys voted to allow men to be in women's bathrooms. And now you have little girls or you have teenagers walking into the women's bathroom and there's a man in there because the man says, I identify as a woman.
I don't think they do that much no more.
There's
I think they
now
got.
people are having an
I
issue
don't see
with
it
it.
much anymore.
Now people are having an issue with it, Max. But I'm like, now you guys are having an issue with it because now you see, now you see that it was an issue from the jump. But some people were okay with, and like I said, granted, I have friends, I have a transgender friend, and he went from being a male to being a woman, and he's married.
Mm,
And you see him, and he's from Mexico, and you see him, and you would never think at some point he was a male, but
mm,
he never like when I met him, he told me from when the moment we became friends, oh yeah, I was a man. I've been transitioning for 15 years
mm,
into a woman, and this was years ago, and now he's a woman. He doesn't have kids, anything like that. He doesn't even speak on things like that. But
mm,
he's happily married. He's had the same partner for years since I met him. And he said when he met his partner, he no longer had his pee-pee, but
mm,
he didn't have breasts and he still had his Adam's apple. But the
mm,
very first surgery that he did, I actually have two friends that like transitioned and changed their organs.
mm,
But he transitioned and he said he had that's the first thing he did, and everything else just kind of fell into place little by little. But he's like, I've never wanted to get pregnant, I've never spoken like I was a biological woman, I respect women, I have a lot of respect for women. He's like, I'm just attracted to men, I feel like I should have been a woman and whatever. But he never speaks like that, and the level of respect that he has for women is different, but he's also from a different generation. He's in his late 40s, I want to say early 50s, and he's a different generation. So he's like, I've never felt like I was a woman. um you know I don't speak on getting pregnant, I don't speak on carrying children because I'm not biologically a woman. I know that. I'm 100% aware of that. But both of my friends, one of them that transitioned into being a female, did it maybe about 5, 6 years ago, had a lot of complications. And then that other friend of mine, he transitioned years ago. Then, it's, I don't know what these people got going on today. I saw a story today on Instagram where a gynecologist was in France was suspended for refusing to see a male who came in to see him. And I'm like, well, what the hell is he going to be looking for? What is he looking for? A gynecologist is okay. The guy went to him because he had a uh I think a lump in one of his breasts. But I'm like, okay, you don't have to see a gynecologist for that. Men can get breast cancer, they can. Nobody's denying that. However, why are you going to a gynecologist? Your primary care doctor can send you for an ultrasound or a scan to see if that's cancerous or if it's benign and then send you to oncology. You don't have to go see a gynecologist. That's just crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's Heaven, I think I'm gonna end it here. Will you be around later?
Yes, I will be around later.
Yeah, we gotta cover another topic. I'm gonna get something to eat and then come back or something like that. See what's going on around the internet, see if what's happening about this case, see if anybody outside the courthouse.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you for joining, Heaven.
All righty, bye.
All right, guys. I think I'm gonna end it here. And I'm gonna come back at some point. Yeah, I'm gonna come back at some point. But yeah, man, thank you guys for joining, and I will catch you guys later. All right, y'all.